Somewhere in a secure railway compound in England, there sits a train that has carried a monarch's coffin, survived 2 world wars, been fitted with bulletproof armor plating, and was once decorated in 23-karat gold and blue silk. And after more than a century and a half of continuous royal service, it's now scheduled to disappear forever. Meanwhile, on the other side of the planet, a completely different kind of royal train exists, one so secretive that foreign intelligence agencies can only guess how many carriages it actually has. Armed with anti-aircraft weapons, a helicopter escape pod, and a fleet of decoy trains designed purely to confuse anyone trying to track it. 2 trains, 2 entirely different visions of what it means to travel like royalty. And both of them reveal something far stranger about power, secrecy, and survival than most people ever realize. Let's step aboard the train that outlived empires. To understand royal trains, you have to go back to a moment that seems almost quaint by today's standards, a queen deciding, for the first time in history, that traveling the country was actually part of her job. In 1842, Queen Victoria became the first British monarch to ride a train, traveling a short stretch from Slough to London behind a locomotive driven personally by the legendary engineer Isambard Kingdom Brunel. It seems like a minor historical footnote today, but at the time, it was a genuinely radical statement. Previous monarchs had mostly stayed within their palaces, treating travel as beneath their station. Victoria saw it differently. She treated visiting her own country as a duty, and the railway as the tool that would let her fulfill it. She didn't stop at simply riding trains either. She commissioned her own dedicated royal carriages, decorated in 23-karat gold detailing and blue silk polishing, treating rail travel as an extension of the throne room itself, rather than mere transportation. But that lavish, almost fairy tale version of royal rail travel wouldn't survive what came next. When war turned a palace on wheels into a fortress. By the early 20th century, the royal train's purpose shifted dramatically, and the reason had nothing to do with comfort. During the First World War, King George V used the train not just for travel, but as a mobile headquarters and living quarters, a fact that was kept hidden from the public for years afterward, revealed only once the war had ended. Then came the Second World War, and the transformation became even more extreme. As King George VI toured bombed regions of Britain to keep national morale alive, the train's wooden carriages were stripped out entirely and replaced with 56-ton armor-plated versions engineered to withstand bombing and gunfire. Special hidden cabinets were reportedly installed specifically to store confidential wartime documents, turning what had once been a symbol of leisurely royal privilege into something closer to a mobile command bunker. What most people never realize is that even after the war ended, this armored legacy never fully disappeared. Decades later, in the 1980s, the train underwent yet another significant security upgrade, adding rocket-proof protective measures on top of its existing armor, a chilling detail for a vehicle so often associated with quiet countryside travel and afternoon tea. And yet, despite all that reinforced steel, the single most cherished feature ever added to the train wasn't a weapon or a shield at all. It was something almost startlingly ordinary, the detail that reveals everything. When King George V had the train updated, one particular addition stood out from everything else: the very first bathtub ever installed aboard a train. It sounds like a minor luxury, but it represented something significant, proof that the royal train had fully evolved from simple transportation into an actual mobile residence, complete with the comforts of home. Queen Elizabeth II clearly agreed. Throughout her 70-year reign, she was famously devoted to the train, often choosing to sleep aboard it the night before important engagements, specifically so she could arrive rested, calm, and fully prepared, without the disruption of hotels, security handoffs, or public appearances along the way. She reportedly requested her own personal bath be added specifically for her use, treating the train less like a novelty and more like an essential, trusted part of her working life. What most people never realize is just how modest her version of luxury actually was. Despite decades of association with opulence, insiders have described her personal quarters aboard the train as surprisingly restrained, a functional bedroom and bathroom favoring practicality over extravagance, reflecting her own famously understated personal style, far more than the gilded excess of Victoria's original carriages. But even a monarch this devoted to her train couldn't stop what was coming next: the end of a 156-year tradition. In 2025, Buckingham Palace confirmed something that would have seemed unthinkable a decade earlier. The royal train, in continuous use in various forms since Queen Victoria's era, will be permanently decommissioned before its maintenance contract expires in 2027. The reasoning wasn't sentimental at all, it was financial. Traveling by the royal train has been calculated to cost roughly 4 times more per mile than traveling by commercial aircraft. When King Charles III took the train from London to a town in Wales, the journey cost more than £130 per mile, compared to roughly a single £30 per mile for an ordinary passenger ticket on the exact same route. Palace officials have framed the decision as part of a broader effort toward financial discipline and modernizing how the monarchy operates, with King Charles himself supporting the move. What most people never realize is that this decision effectively ends a piece of royal tradition dating back further than most countries' entire system of government. Once decommissioned, there's a chance the train will go on public display, meaning the closest most people will ever get to boarding it is walking past it silently in a museum, rather than watching it glide past a countryside platform ever again. And while one nation prepares to retire its royal train entirely, on the opposite side of the globe, an entirely different kind of ruler has built the exact opposite philosophy into steel and armor plating: the train, built like a weapon. There is another train, still very much in active use today, that couldn't be more different from Britain's version of royal rail travel, not because it lacks luxury, but because its entire purpose is built around a single obsession: survival. North Korea's ruling family has relied on private armored trains for travel since the country's founding, and the current version, nicknamed the Moving Fortress, might be the most secretive form of luxury transportation left on Earth. Estimates of its size vary wildly, with reports describing anywhere from 10 to as many as 90 armored carriages split across multiple separate trains, each with a distinct purpose. One train runs ahead purely to sweep the tracks and stations for danger. The leader travels in the second. A third follows behind, carrying armed security and medical staff. What most people never realize is just how much firepower is reportedly built directly into the train itself, including radar-guided weaponry, anti-aircraft capability, and even a helicopter kept on board specifically as an emergency escape option if the train were ever attacked or forced to stop. And that's before you even get to what's rumored to be happening inside: lobster, cognac, and female singers at 37 miles an hour. According to a Russian official who personally traveled alongside North Korea's former leader in 2001, the train's interior told a completely different story than its military exterior suggested. Guests could order dishes from Korean, Chinese, Japanese, Russian, or French cuisine prepared fresh on board. Live lobster was reportedly flown in specifically to keep the seafood menu fresh throughout the journey, alongside cases of fine Bordeaux and Burgundy wine imported directly from Paris. The same Russian official went so far as to claim that even the private train used by Russia's own president couldn't match the level of comfort found aboard this one. Reports have also described entertainment carriages featuring performances from young female singers and dancers, along with conference rooms, an audience chamber, and private bedrooms, complete with pink leather furnishings and satellite communication equipment, allowing the leader to issue orders and receive briefings from anywhere along the route. What most people never realize is just how slow all of this luxury actually moves. Due to the sheer weight of the armor plating combined with the poor condition of much of the region's rail infrastructure, the train reportedly tops out at speeds as low as 25 to 37 miles an hour, meaning a single international trip, like a journey made to meet a foreign head of state, can take several days to complete, even though the same distance could be flown in just a few hours. And that single fact might explain the entire philosophy behind this train better than anything else. Why speed was never the point. For a leader whose safety and public image depend almost entirely on unpredictability and control, flying presents an obvious vulnerability: a single aircraft on a fixed and trackable flight path with no ability to stop, hide, or adjust mid-journey. A train, by comparison, can move at night, change plans mid-route, and rely on dozens of secret stations built exclusively for this exact purpose, scattered quietly across the country specifically so the leader's movements remain almost impossible to predict from the outside. That single insight reveals something fascinating when placed next to Britain's version of royal rail travel. Both trains, despite existing at opposite ends of the political spectrum, were ultimately built around the exact same core idea: control over one's own arrival. Britain's royal train let a monarch travel privately, rest fully, and appear in public exactly on schedule and exactly as intended. North Korea's armored train lets its leader travel completely unseen until the very moment he chooses to be seen at all. Different governments, different intentions. The same fundamental need to arrive on your own terms, protected from a world that's always watching. What these trains actually reveal. Step back far enough, and these two trains tell a story that has almost nothing to do with luxury upholstery or gourmet lobster. They reveal exactly how differently power can choose to present itself. One monarchy built its train to be seen polished, ceremonial, occasionally open to public display, a symbol meant to reinforce continuity and tradition in the eyes of its own citizens. Another leader built his train to disappear, armored, secretive, deliberately unpredictable. A tool meant to protect a fragile grip on power from threats both foreign and domestic. And now, remarkably, one of those two traditions is quietly coming to an end. Britain's centuries-old royal train, having survived 2 world wars, armor plating, and generations of monarchs, will soon exist only behind museum glass. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, an armored train still rolls quietly through the night, carrying a very different kind of ruler toward a very different kind of destination. So the next time you see a photograph of a gleaming, ceremonial royal carriage, or a grainy, distant image of a heavily guarded green train slipping across a foreign border, remember what both of them are really telling you. Royalty, in every form it takes, has always understood the same basic truth. How you arrive says just as much about your power as anything you do once you get there. 2 trains, 2 very different kingdoms, and one shared, ancient belief that some journeys were never meant to be witnessed until their very final moment.